I have no interest in spending any money.
That's true.
I am just like curious. It's like, what cost?
Yeah.
What cost? What can I get for X?
Can I ask you a question?
Because I'll do that. This is fun for me. I'll go into the boat trader, right? And I'll say, all right, I want to find the cheapest freaking boat that's between like 30 and 40 feet, right? You just pick a footage, and you go like, hey, man, what's like the cheapest options? And you're like, man, what if I stumble onto a deal, right? You obviously don't, right? You get to looking at these things, and you're like, oh, yeah, this thing's got a lot of problems. And then, the other thing too, man, don't fall for this one, Mike.
Okay.
The pictures always look better than the real thing.
Oh, right. I mean, listen, I'm in marketing and publicity. I mean, I know that game.
I'm looking at this one houseboat in Tennessee, and I'm so close to going to like look at it, but I know I'm going to travel over there to Tennessee and look at it and go, this ain't nothing like the pictures.
Right. There's a YouTube video of
there's all kinds of issues with the paneling or the floor or problems with the carpet, and you can't see that in the photos.
There's a YouTube video of your dad's old bus.
Yes.
Your old motor. Have you ever seen this video where a guy went to go look at it?
Yeah.
This guy was selling your dad's old motorhome.
It's rough inside.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff just didn't age well.
Well, no, they never do. I mean, that's the way it works. But still, I mean, it's like they want to get you caught in a nostalgic purchase.
I guess my curiosity around yachts and the cost of them is this. Okay, if you're rolling your eyes over my curiosity about a boat like that, this is the deal, man. My dad loved boats, loved yachts, owns yachts, bought several yachts, and I always thought of my dad as a pretty smart guy in terms of business and money, and I thought, well, that doesn't seem like a wise choice financially. How did he do it? Surely he had some way to make it make sense.
Right.
But I never learned anything about that. But becoming friends and working with Jeff Burton told me a story, and he's like, man, I was thinking about getting a boat, and your dad heard about it, and he just took over the whole process. And he had me in his bus with papers laid out. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to, you got to have this. You need to do this. Don't do that. Got to buy this. Got to put this there. We'll put this there. We'll do that. We'll do that. This has to be, this is what you want. This is appliances you need. Telling him how to build this boat or what right? And so I've asked Burton about boats. I'm like, why were y'all everybody in the late 90s had boats. They used to all go down to Key West and have those fishing tournaments. Big Bill, Helton, and several of the owners, Richard Childerson. You had several drivers and owners that had boats, and they all would go and hang out like the week off before Daytona. And then in off season again, they would go back down there and they'd have these sort of mock fishing tournaments, kind of like Denny Hamlin's basketball tournaments and his golf thing, the golf guys.
Just little little clubs.
Little hobby club. And and then that was a big deal at one point. I'm like, well, why did everybody do that? And I was just curious about the cost of things, and
right.
What I learned didn't seem to make much sense to me.
Maybe that was their one thing that they just were okay not making a business sense out of it, right?
I guess so.
It was literally just for leisure and fun, and everybody needs something they lose money on.
That'd be another one of them conversations where if Dad was here, I'd be like, hey man, let's sit down and talk about that.
Right.
Is there regret, or how'd you make it make sense?
Well, was he not building a new boat?
Yes, when he passed away.
Yeah,
they were building a brand new boat that eventually got finished, and his old boat, the original Sunday Money, is still out there. I met the family just recently in like the last 2 years that owns it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And they say the interior is as is, the way they bought it, and they didn't want it to change. They know it's Dad's. They know they kind of have kept it a lot of, as you can imagine, like late 80s, early 90s brass and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What's something interesting about this, and I've wanted to ask you. You do well financially. You've made a good living, right? Do you think that you are always tight and worried about how you spend money? Because you are very, very conscious of how you manage your money. And I wonder if, you have a lot of sports stars or celebrities, when they happen into money, they go into immediate spending mode. And not to say you haven't spent money, because, you do have a Western town that you didn't try to go make financial or business sense out of that.
Right.
So you do, but for the most part, you are really tight with money. And I'm wondering, did that happen later in life once you earned money, or do you think that is that something that you're taking from childhood, or was there an example of somebody losing their money that freaked you out?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly that. So I mean, you want the exact thing that happened was the 30 for 30 on ESPN about the players all going bankrupt.
Keith McCants, he used to be at Alabama, went to Tampa Bay.
That was, 15, 20 years ago that came out? Mm-hmm. That scared the hell out of me. Mm-hmm. And so, I felt like, I would go to Kelly, who's my general manager and understands all of my financials, and I would tell her, I'm like, hey, I don't want anything I don't ever want to get anywhere near being careless, right? I want to stay as far away from careless. Any investments that I might do in the stock market are always going to be the low risk. Never going to put myself out there, right, to be put in a bad position. And so, yeah, I mean, literally, that's it. I mean, I didn't ever think about it, and until I saw that, and I was like, in my mind, that made me think, oh man, that could happen so easily.
It could,
right? And you had the story about MC Hammer and his fortune and all the things that they spent, how he was building that house and all that, and he had all these people on a payroll. And
even Dusty Rhodes in that documentary, Dusty Rhodes was broke. He was hawking his watch,
right,
just to give his kids money.
Yeah, and so. Yeah, I think those stories, man, I'm already anxiety-ridden, a worrier. I'm already built that way. And so, like, you give me a story, and I'm going to be like, I can't let that happen to me.
Understood. I think that's fair.
And it didn't take many stories for me to sort of lock in on. And I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, it's I think that even we can determine whether we keep this in the show or not, but like when we were going on our honeymoon, so, obviously the wedding, we won't talk about this, but obviously going through all the wedding costs I was like, Jesus, man, really?
That's how much that cost?
Fucking ripping us off here. There's no way that costs that much. No way. And so somebody's right?
Starting with Richard Childress, because this vineyard, you ain't telling me that this is how much this costs.
Thank God Richard Childress let us use his vineyard. But when and of course, that caused some tough conversations. We get to the honeymoon, and I'm working with this lady that's helping us plan this trip, and I get the costs. She gives me this sort of options on rooms and the cost, and I'm like, the room that we should go and use as honeymooners is like ridiculous per night, and then there's these other options, and I'm like, Amy, like, why are we gonna go stay in this room? We get these other options are fine, and. Of course, Amy wasn't pushing back, but I knew that my thought process was wrong.
Was it?
Well,
for the occasion.
For the occasion, right?
You take exceptions, right?
For the occasion, you have to take exceptions, right?
Fair,
yes.
Yeah.
You're not going to honeymoon every year.
Right.
Right? You're
Hopefully.
going to honeymoon once, right?
Right.
And so, and listen, like the honeymoon's option, right, or the one that the honeymooner is going to take is like, there was that, and then every other room was the same, right? So it was like, we're going to go to this resort and just stay in a regular normal room on our honeymoon,
I mean, I'm with you. I'm like, I don't know what the problem is with that, but
I
apparently,
was all like initially, I'm like, yeah, I can.
I could do without the champagne bath.
Yeah. I'm
the rose petals.
I'm gonna just choose that.
But you bit the bullet, is what you're trying to say.
I
yeah.
bit the bullet.
Okay.
And you know what? The reasoning behind some of that is like, you're right. Like, I'll build a western town and not bat an eye. And you know, oh man, I see this 77 C10 green truck that I want, and I mean, I'm having it. Or the Tennessee houseboat that's like really close to getting bought, right? I'm not asking questions. I'm just like,
yeah.
You know.